Gonna just show some basic Amazon Connect functionality today. Just one thing I like to preface is that Amazon Connect quite literally can do anything and everything contact center related. So there's a lot of potential stuff that I can show in demo. I'm just picking and choosing a few things today to get some stuff in motion, but ask away in terms of questions, and we can either try to demo it on the fly or at least have some dialogue around how we would build that out, how we would accomplish that. My screen should be loading here, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So right now in front of us, we have just the default Amazon Connect agent workspace. This is how agents will interact with the system. This is very configurable, customizable, but right now you see just a basic view. I'm going to start off with the most common use case here. Just going to make a basic call into the system so you can see how things work.
Hello, Sean. Thank you for contacting First Fire Bank. How can we help you today?
Agent.
Your call is very important to us.
Gotta hit that mute button quick so we don't get feedback. So we can put complex IVR logic. We can do voice bots within the IVR. In that example, I just said agent to route straight to a queue and straight to an agent. So you don't have to listen to me talk back and forth with the bot. I can show that in the chat scenario a little bit later. But what you saw here is it matched my incoming phone number with my customer profile here to screen pop some information. Within the Amazon Connect world, you usually have kind of two options: is we can integrate Amazon Connect with an external system and pull that information into this agent workspace. There's also a flavor of this where we can embed the agent CCP, the soft phone, into a CRM ticketing system, something like ServiceNow, Salesforce, whatever you need to do there. So a couple different flavors. Basic call controls, everything you'd expect to see here with the contact center solution. I'm muted here so we don't get feedback, but I can put the caller on hold. I can transfer to other agents, queues, external numbers via the Quick Connect feature. Again, standard functionality here. Get a timer on the call, shows the phone number here, timer up here. Again, there's different functions and stuff that I can build out here within the agent experience, depending on what the requirements would be. Get things like contact history to look at, etc. Go ahead and disconnect call. One thing that I'll touch on in multiple spots is a feature in Connect called Contact Lens, where it basically takes the transcript of that call, takes the call recording, transcribes it, sentiment analysis, things like that. If we had had a conversation, the agent would be able to see the transcript of that call right there. It was obviously just a silent call while I was yapping. So I'm going to close that contact out. Over here in the top left, we do have agent status. These are just the default ones available, lunch and offline. You can very easily, in a couple clicks, create custom statuses. Any questions on this aspect so far? All right, I'll show. So Amazon Connect is omni-channel. Whatever channel you want to use, we can make that happen. I'll show you SMS next. So I'm sending a text into our contact center now. It's coming from myself. The way that this works is basically from the agent experience side, it handles SMS as a chat. If you did Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger, handles as a chat. Any digital channel is gonna come in through a chat, even though the medium to the customer may be a little bit different. So you can see text message came in from this number. It did the same screen pop with my customer profile because of that detected phone number. I'll send a text back. And popped up on my cell phone, so just have to take my word for it. That's SMS. Any questions on that? And I will show chat next. So this is just our
Josh, I
demo.
think there's a question from Martha.
Yeah, fire away.
In the screen that you were showing just before this, which was the agent view,
Yes.
how configurable is that center section with date of birth, email, mailing, billing address? Is that configurable based on data that could be pulled in from another source?
It is correct. So flavor one is we would actually just operate out of your CRM or ticketing system where that information already exists. Or option two is we would integrate with that and pull whatever data you need into Amazon Connect. And that doesn't have to be limited to necessarily information in your database. We can also capture information in the IVR, ask them questions, things like that, and then that information can get presented to the agent.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions before I move on?
Yes, if you would like to, what calling party number is used if you're engaging in an SMS chat? Do you have the ability to customize that? Such, for instance, we've got a inventory of Verizon DID numbers. If we wanted to use one of those as the number that we're using for that, is that possible, or is that is that something that is just going to be system defined within the Amazon Connect platform that you just have to work with what they've got?
So any phone number that you currently own can be ported over to Connect. I'm in the phone numbers module of the admin portal right now. So you can see over in this column right here, active channels, a lot of voice ones, and then we have some SMS ones. So we'd go through the porting process, and if you wanted to port over an SMS number, we could do that. If it was a voice number, we could do that. It's on the roadmap in the very near future. They might have released it. You also can do voice and SMS on the same number if you have a use case for that.
Okay.
Any other questions on? And I'll show you one more thing too. Obviously, you can claim new voice numbers and SMS numbers and WhatsApp numbers through the portal as well. So if you needed something new and you weren't porting it, then it's all very straightforward to do that. Just got to come in here, pick the country. It'll just spit out some options for you, but you can also search by a specific prefix if you want, and then it'll give you a real-time inventory of what Amazon Connect has available at that moment. And then you can pick it, couple clicks, it's provisioned and active in the system in very, very near real time. Moving on, I'll give was there a question?
Oh, no, just thank you for the additional information.
Absolutely. So I'm in chat now with Chat with an Amazon Connect, this little widget down here in the bottom right. You can customize the look and the feel of that, spits out some code. You throw that in the footer of your website. Now you have chat. It's going to give me a little bit of a bot experience here. It's asking me to identify myself by my email address, say things like update address, my street number. And updated my address. Again, this is just a demo environment, but through integrations, something like that, we could go in, integrate with whatever system you have, and actually make that address update within that system without the need for an agent. It's a number of different use cases for bots slash automations like that. I showed that in the chat channel because it's just a little more palpable when I'm on a call. But we could do that via a voice call as well. We could do that via SMS, whatever. Anytime I show a channel, just know that we can do that. We can do a bot in that channel no matter what. So I'll also just say agent because I want to similar to the other channels, rings just like a call or an SMS. In this example, I can scroll up and I can see the contextual information from the chat bot that just occurred. So as an agent, I have that information ahead of time. And that is chat. Questions there? There also is a task channel within Connect. So a number of different use cases there. You can use it quite literally where you can create tasks and assign those to other agents or assign them to yourselves or schedule them. Just kind of depends on what the use case is. But task is kind of a catch-all for everything that isn't like an SMS, voice call and email, things like that. All right. Before I move on, any questions on the channels, the agent experience, things along those lines? All right, I will move on and jump into the admin portal here. I'm gonna start with something basic here. So user management. Main thing I like to point out here is that when you're managing users within Amazon Connect, we will integrate Amazon Connect with whatever your SSO provider is. So if you use Microsoft for that, great. If you use Okta for that, great. We can basically authenticate your agents via that platform, make it very easy for them to sign in to the solution. And then within agents, or yeah, within users, we also have a couple concepts. Security profiles. So this is how you granularly control access to your users to show them what you want them to see and hide what you don't want them to see. We get 4 defaults. Admin basically shows them everything. Agent would just be the phone itself. Call center manager and quality analyst, which is various levels of admin functionality and or reporting functionality. These are also things you can create entirely custom. I'll just click through here. As you can see, there are a lot of different toggles. So you can get really granular with what you see or don't see at the security profile level. Agent status, I touched on that within the agent workspace, but again, like to just double click on that one and show if I wanted to create a custom status, it's really just a couple clicks. And then that status is active. I can enable, disable statuses, all the basic stuff you'd expect to see there. Disable that. Let's see. Amazon Connect is a queue-based solution by default. So if everyone's familiar with contact center here, someone needs to speak to you or chat with you, they're going to end up in a queue. They're going to wait in that queue until an agent becomes available. The way the routing strategy works is it'll route that unit of work queue-wise. Pretty basic stuff here. We'll just drill into the basic queue. We can bound those by hours of operation, some different functions around here in terms of how the outbound caller ID is going to be handled when they dial out from that queue. We can do things like set the maximum contacts in queue and take a different action if that's hit. Just some basic settings here around the queue. Not much more to cover there. Let me jump into flows very briefly. Most of the cool stuff that Amazon Connect does from an experience when someone's calling in or chatting in is handled via contact flows. These can get very complex, meaning you can do a lot of cool stuff within them, but it is all just a drag and drop type editor. So we have different functions over here on the left. I can drop it into the pane, open it up, do the configurations, connect the dots, and so on. But just for example purposes, let me zoom in a little bit further. Call comes in, we set logging behavior, then we set recording and analytics behavior. There are a lot of options here, so we can tell the system if we want to do call recording for agent and customer, or one or the other. We can do screen recording, we can do chat recording. Further on down, we have analytics. So analytics, kind of circling back to contact lens, which I mentioned, where it's going to take the recording of that call, it's going to transcribe it, it's going to apply sentiment analysis, keyword detection, sensitive information redaction, a number of different things that are just pre-built into the solution, and you toggle them on or off. Very, very powerful feature there. A lot of other use cases, but I'll just leave it at that. Generally speaking, most customers we deploy, we would use the text-to-speech engine that is integrated into Amazon Connect. So within this set voice block here, there's a number of different voices and accents. And if you're multi-language in your IVR, different languages options that you can choose that will apply and allow you to do the text-to-speech. And then over here in the Get Customer Input block, we have just a thank you for calling the demo flow, press 1 for sales and 2 for support. That's going to use that voice that we used here within the contact flow itself. From there, we set it to a queue and route it to a queue, and we've that's just a basic contact flow example. Any questions on that? All right. Going to, oh, yep, go ahead.
I was going to ask, what sort of privacy protections does Amazon have in place regarding tenant data? So, for instance, when it's doing analytics, things like that, what security features do we have available to us for that assurances that our data is not leaving our environment?
Yeah. I think I'll start with there is everything that you see here built is with an AWS infrastructure. So as you can imagine, them being the size of the cloud provider they are, everything is very, very secure there from the ground up. When we get into the technology itself, anything that can be encrypted is encrypted. When we're talking security from a user access perspective, that's controlled via different services through Amazon. And then when we were talking through things like the security profiles at the user level, you obviously can control the security there. So there's a lot of layers, just making sure that your data is safe. And then, like I mentioned, contact lens, if you're looking to redact sensitive information, that's something that you essentially can do out of the box and say, hey, I want to hide street address, credit card information, date of birth, anything like that. And then that information would not be really visible to anybody if you choose to enable something like that. Does that answer your question?
It does at this point, yes.
Perfect.
I did have one other question. I did also notice earlier when you were jumping from screen to screen, there was a mention of SMS Twilio. Was that just something that's being used to facilitate the demo, or is Amazon Connect leveraging Twilio services in order to provide SMS capability?
Yeah, this is a demo account where we do a lot of toying around in. We were doing a basic Twilio integration with Amazon. We generally wouldn't go down that path. Amazon has its own SMS service just native to it. So we would 99% of the time default to using the Amazon SMS service versus Twilio. That being said, there could be some use cases where it made sense to integrate and use Twilio instead. So.
Okay, yeah, I could see that if you had a client who had an existing SMS platform that was leveraging Twilio, that you might want to just simply adapt what they were working with to work within the framework of Amazon Connect. I just was curious to know whether or not Amazon had a native service or if it was dependent on. Thank you.
Yep, definitely. Moving on. So I'm going to run through reporting, just the default reporting here in Connect. The first screen I've navigated to is contact search. I like to start here because this is really just the log of every single interaction on the system. So right here, you can see some chats, some voice calls, and some chats. These are what we were just basically going through as we were going through the demo. I'll come back to this a little bit later, but what Amazon does is it takes all of that raw data and then it will aggregate it into historical reports, and then what we'll show in a moment, real-time reports. So we'll start with the historical metrics and we'll go into queues. And the reporting in Amazon is very much build and choose your own adventure. So I can go over here to the gear icon and I can decide how I want to build this report based on the interval and time range. I can group things, I can filter things, and then the important tab here is metrics. Just going to scroll down. There's a ridiculous amount of out-of-the-box metrics that Amazon gives you, as you can see. Totals, averages, percentages, it's really all there, and they're pretty frequently adding new metrics there. Very rarely do we have someone ask us for a metric that Amazon doesn't already have there, but if there are some, they'll probably get those in there at some point. But it is really just as simple as toggling them on or off, and then that will adjust the columns here within the report itself. So nothing mind-blowingly visual, but it does give you all of the data there very, very accurately. Couple more reporting functions. You can schedule reports, you can share reports, you can download a CSV, kind of a rudimentary solution there, but it is there. If we build a report that we really like and we want to come back to, I of course can save that report. And then we'll jump into real time next. So very similar concept here. We get this grid format. I'm in a real-time agent report, and what you can see is this is the agent that I'm currently logged into. It would show me if I'm on a voice call or a chat or a task. I can remotely set my status. So if I'm a manager and I see that someone's stuck on lunch or whatever, I can update that. It's telling me the duration that I've been in that available state, what my routing profile is. Again, just a lot of data that you can customize, filter, do what you need to see. And then dashboards and reports. So Connect does give you some visualizations and some other reporting avenues. So I'm just going to scroll down here just to give you an example of what's here out of the box. Just know there's, just like the other reporting, there's knobs, dials, buttons, and things that you can configure and adjust. You can come up here and add different widgets if I wanted to see different types of data, building your kind of own reporting experience. What we do in a lot of cases, though, for most contact centers is what we see here is good for a kind of manager standpoint day to day, but we can take all of this raw Amazon Connect data, and there's a lot, and we can stream that into a BI tool of your choice. We work with people that are using Power BI or Tableau or a number of different items out there where they'd rather have the data out of that and build their dashboards and their reporting process. Very, very easy for us to do. And gonna circle back here. So when I was in contact search earlier, just looking at the list of interactions, this is one of those that I've just drilled into, which is just the full details that I'm gonna just take you on a quick tour through. So just in this example call, we see things like customer phone number, gives me a disconnect reason, tells me the queue, tells me the agent. A little further down, I have conversational analytics. So this is contact lens in action. What this is showing me, and actually just let me scroll down. Here's the call recording. I can hit play, I could speed it up, and then I have the transcription down here. Very, very accurate transcription, does it line by line. It gives you some visual indications line by line for sentiment analysis, which is pretty cool. And then it takes that data and I can see how the sentiment of that call trended up over time, see a bar graph of sentiment. I can see a balance of talk time, which may be useful if you're evaluating agents. And then a little further down, just more data that's a little bit nested because it's not always as relevant, but it's all there. And again, this is the data that is captured in the system 100% of the time. That data is used for things like historical and real-time reports. And then if you want to take it a step further, we can push this data into external systems. Agent evaluations, and this is the last thing that I prepared to demo today, but agent evaluations is a feature within Amazon Connect that is available. One of the cool things you can do is, option one is you can just build out like a form-based evaluation. Here's a question, the manager answers it after listening to the call. Here's a question, manager listens to the call, answers the question, scores the agent. But we can actually automate a lot of that via the contact lens feature. So for example, if I want to make sure that my agents greet the customer properly, here, let me hide that so it's a little visible. So you see I have a category here where it says proper greeting provided. That's because we, in a couple of clicks, programmed into the system to make sure that the agent says, hey, thank you for calling First Fire Airlines. How may I help you? So it tagged that as proper greeting provided. I could automate that in my scorecard to say, did they adhere to our proper greeting using contact lens? It'll acknowledge that, say yes, and go from there. Let me give me 1 second. I want to show one more thing. So I just have a very basic agent evaluation here where it says, did the agent do a good job keeping the customer happy? Yes or no. And then we have this little Ask AI button. So this is just all native generative AI solution baked into Amazon Connect. I'm going to click that. And it's going back through. It's evaluating the context of that call, of that transcript. And come down and it says yes. It usually gives me more details, and I don't know why it didn't that time. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. That did not work like it normally does. So a little demo gremlin there. So that's all I had prepared for the demo. Oh, hold on. Nope, didn't work. What questions can I answer for you?
Jamie has a question. Jamie, go ahead.
Thanks, sorry. I was wondering about live monitoring. I know that you can do these evaluations listening to recordings, but that's not always available for us. Sometimes we can't record the conversations.
Yep. Give me 1 second and I'll show that.
Follow-up to that is, can you monitor without being perceived by the agent?
Yes. Agent.
Peter, I didn't hear your question, actually. Can you monitor what?
Can you monitor the agent without being perceived? Because that's what we do currently.
Yeah, there are some call center products that have a warning tone that sounds every 15 seconds or so to let an agent know they're being live monitored. I think that's kind of where that question was going.
So here, I'm in the real-time reports right now, real-time agent report. You can see that my user right now is on a contact. I've been on a contact for 18 seconds. You'll see this little I right there next to voice.
Gotcha.
I'm obviously calling myself, so it says you cannot monitor
Okay.
yourself. But if that was someone else calling in, me as the manager would just click that I icon, and then I'd answer the call and basically be listening into that conversation. Then there's an option where you can barge into the conversation if you need to, which is essentially a three-way call. But yeah, the agent isn't going to have any visibility into that. Where yeah, they won't have that indication that they're being listened to.
Okay, great. And I did have one other question about the flow and the queues to agents.
Yep.
So one of the things that great demo, by the way, this is really helpful and it's a great package. But as far as routing to agents, we have instances where we have agents that are trained on multiple projects, but are only working on one project at a time. So they're responsible for only one queue, even though they might have access to the other queues at different times. And right now they're able to log in and say, I'm working this queue for this block of time. So I can tell the system, okay, I need to work project A. Even though I have access to accept inbound calls for several different projects, I only want calls for A. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that that is something that we have to be manually managed by maybe like a manager or a team leader or something like that. Is there any way we can have them choose by themselves which queue they're going to be working for that shift?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so correct on the statement where in most cases, yeah, you have a manager or someone with the proper permissions would be making that change. But you could make a case for allowing agents to do that.
Okay.
You would, through security profiles, be giving them access to this routing profile section, where this is where we essentially control which queues an agent can answer.
Okay.
So there's a little inherent risk there because they would have access to everybody else's routing profiles, not just theirs.
Oh, okay.
That being said, if this was something that was problematic and there was a lot of value in building on an experience where an agent can manage their own queues through something, we could build a custom portal or a custom experience to accomplish that.
Okay.
So one of the magical things about Amazon is if there is a fringe feature that isn't out of the box, we can build it.
Okay.
Build.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, that was one of the, I think it covers the bases everywhere, but that was one of the little nuanced things in our area that we kind of need to figure out how to manage in this system. So thank you.
Yeah, I see over the years I've seen that a handful of times where, hey, it'd be nice if our agents could control this. And while we're on the topic, I'll just touch on routing profiles. The way it works is an agent is assigned one distinct routing profile, and then a routing profile is going to be a collection of queues that agent can answer. So in this demo account, we have a bunch of queues in here. What you can do is you can actually prioritize those queues within that routing profile. So that could maybe be a solution in your use case where you have all the queues assigned to that agent, but you highly deprioritize certain ones that they don't necessarily need to answer, but they can answer in an overflow type situation. Delay is another strategy option there, just to kind of control the timing and volume of flow to different queues. And then channels are controlled here as well. So within that routing profile, we can decide, does that agent answer chats and SMS? If they do, what's the maximum concurrent chats, for example, that they can answer? If they're a new agent, we maybe give them 3. If they're an experienced agent, 10. But we can control all of that via this interface here.
By the way, on that change, we've done that automated before, based on business rules or shift changes where their answering vector has to get wider or smaller. So you're moving groups of agents. We can write things, either do it scheduled or automated too.
Okay.
On top of that.
Great. Thank
You
you.
tell us what you want, we can figure it out.
That sounds good. Okay. Thank you.
Josh, if you scroll down real quick for me, I just
Yep.
wanted to look at the bottom. I think we might be able to these days with security profiles and tags. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, I think we can put a tag on that so that only certain users can see certain things. So for instance, if we wanted certain users to only see certain routing profiles, we would add that tag to their security profile so they can only access that routing profile.
Gotcha. Good to know. Yeah, it does look like that is that would be possible in this use case. That was Stony, by the way. He's we like to have him on because he can check my work.
Takes 2 to tango.
Yep. Any other questions?
So Josh, so that same question as far as being able to select which, routing whichever queue to pick up, you can also have one agent handle multiple queues, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we see here is this list right here is queues that all belong to this single routing profile. And then an agent is assigned one single routing profile, which we can see here in this column. We have our agent logins here, and then in this column, it shows what routing profile that user/agent is assigned to.
Got it. And how easy is it to go back and listen to a recording, or search, I should say?
Very easy. So we're going to go here to reporting and then contact search. In most of the time when you're trying to locate a specific recording, you know the agent and then you know the phone number that whoever called in called from. So that's one way to do it. So we would come in here and do filter. We'd find phone number, system phone, or not system phone number, that's the wrong one. So yeah, we'd essentially search by phone number, search by agent, or both to drill down. The other thing you can also do under rules. So rules is essentially, there's a number of different applications here, but this is where you can build out the contact lens interactions. So if you wanted to flag managers to say, hey, we need you to listen to this phone call or evaluate this phone call based on contextual information in that call, we could build that rule out. So we could say, hey, if the call happens and the sentiment is 1, send an email to a manager, tell them to go listen to that call. If they say this phrase or this word or whatever it may be, same concept, we could flag that / tag that in the system for that individual call, send a email notification to managers, group of managers, and then basically link them straight to that phone call.
Thanks, Josh. Can you talk a little bit about agent-to-agent communication? So if we have 2 agents that need to speak to each other, or an agent and a supervisor, and not just from a voice perspective, but also being able to send, an agent or something like that.
Yeah, there's no agent-to-agent calling in Connect, but you can basically conference in agents if you're talking to a customer through the Quick Connects feature. Any internal chat between agents and managers, you would just handle that externally. There's no chat feature within Amazon Connect. You'd use Slack or Teams or something you're already using.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
If you quick connect to, say, a supervisor, I'm the agent, I quick connect to a supervisor. Can I drop and have the supervisor continue with the caller?
You can. By default, everything in Connect is a warm transfer. So it's gonna always initiate where there's gonna be a minimum of 3 people on that call, and then the agent can drop. If you need to do a cold transfer, then you do it really, really fast. One of those nuances with Connect, but it works, and we train people on that.